I want to disabuse you of something before we continue. That is, anyone has me on a pedestal, I won't be able to help them. If you secretly have me on a pedestal, you have sort of anticipation that you have some kind of expectancy from me. I can't help it. I won't be able to help you. You won't recover. Because otherwise you're making me God, and I'm not God, and I can't help you. You make anyone God. Because you're the God maker greater than the God. That's what you saw in the Democratic Convention, is this the excitement of the people creating their own God. See? And that's what was happening. That's the excitement. And then the God you create is supposed to give you a sense of worth. And all the worthless people in the world are aroused by that kind of rhetoric. See that? And so, inspirational speakers do the same thing. They inspire, but really the word is outspire. So therefore, I'm not here to arouse your passions, but passions will be aroused. It doesn't mean to say that we don't want you to be aroused in some way, but not purposefully. I can't imagine Jesus being an inspirational speaker. He would sit on the side of the hill and talk to people, just like we're talking together now. And they would ask him questions, but Master, blah, 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 this and that. And he would explain to them, right? Well, the explanations are enough. The explanations, if they are carefully framed, but not artificially carefully framed intellectually, if they come from the heart, from my heart to your heart, then something magic happens. And so what we intend to do in the next couple of days, maybe a couple of minutes, who knows how long it will take for me to help you, but everybody here has come for a reason. You've come for a reason because you're not happy, or you have arthritis, or you have skyberis of the bongo, which is a name for just about every disease you got. You might as well all call it skyberis of the bongo, because there's only one disease. And that's separation from God, to play God, and you don't know you're playing God, because playing God is a high. If you put me on a pedestal, as I said a few moments ago, you feel important, making me important. You see? And so, that's not good. So just listen to me, and let it go through one ear, and come out the other, and just see what sticks. Because helping you requires faith. The trouble is, you don't know what faith is, and I can't explain it. But everyone has got it, but they don't know they have it. It just has to be activated. But it cannot be activated by effort, or believing that you believe. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. You know, you hear me talking to people with problems on the radio, and they're believers, they're Christians, but they're shacking up with their girlfriend. I say, how can you call yourself a Christian? Shacking up with your girlfriend. Blah, 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 blah. How can you be a Christian and have any problems at all? I don't have any problems, in psychological, emotional, or anything like that. I've got scars left over from not understanding the matrix, the medical matrix, and I'm not going to bore you with that. You know all about that if you've listened to me before. Yeah, I've suffered, and I've recovered from the medical matrix, and you can. I had to go through all these medical procedures I didn't even need to go through, because the world does not understand disease. And the trouble is you make your doctors your God. And all of you live, listen carefully, so that you see me jump around a little bit. Actually, I'm not jumping around, I'm just hitting different points. It's all saying the same thing. When you catch me saying the same thing, you'll be better. But you won't be bored. It's just fascinating that one thing can become everything. But the big problem you have right now is that you don't speak up. And if you do speak up, you speak up out of rage, out of frustration, out of the desire to create an outcome, influence a person. You must never try to influence anybody. I'm not going to try to influence you at all. I'm just going to talk with you. And I'm trying to awaken something in you. Awaken. That's not influence. I'm using influence because in a manner of speaking it is, but it isn't. It isn't influence, the usual business of influencing, because that's not healthy for anyone. But you all listen, all live in a secure state in your head. It's a comfort zone. And so as long as no one challenges you, you're kind of okay. But you're not really, because the lack of okayness, excuse the vernacular, is felt in anxiety and fear and frustration and dis-ease, being uncomfortable, depression, and then, of course, turning anger in on yourself. And you think, at least I'm just turning it into myself. And then suicide, God kills himself. Well, what kind of God am I? So I think I'll just do myself in and not hurt the world. I mean, you've got some really strange ideas. People just have really strange ideas. They come from somewhere. We're going to see this. Today we're going to see it. I'm going to show you. I'm going to, if I can, pull it out of you and say, look, this is what's inside you. But you don't know it's there. Or you do know it's there. You either don't or do. If you know it's there, you struggle. If you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there because it won't let you know it's there. It's in charge of what you know and what you don't know. See? So you have this little comfort zone, and somehow I'm going to challenge that. And when you get better, when you leave here a better human being, and you carry your betterness through the world, you're going to be a living challenge, meaning your very existence is going to piss everybody off. Excuse me. I'm inclined to use an occasional word like that because I don't know how to amplify the point better. See? So that's what I do. I don't move around very much. I'm kind of tied to home. I've still got some damage left from the doctors, not knowing what was wrong with me. If he would have told me what was wrong with me and gave me the reasons, I could have fixed myself. So I'm going to give you all kinds of reasons. But then how do you fix yourself? Well, you fix yourself by return to common sense. Now, that you have common sense means you're here. It takes one to know one. But to activate that common sense so it flows through you with effortless grace. So that what you know and what you realize is not something you remember. That's why I don't ask you to remember anything. What you know or are reminded of, I'm reminding you that I'm living what you should have lived. All I am is nothing more than an ordinary man, and I'm ordinary, and you're abnormal. And I'm not smart, you're just stupid. See? See the difference? So don't think of me as smart. That's putting me on a pedestal. I'm not smart. I'm just an ordinary man with what appears to you extraordinary powers. Now, the powers are extraordinary, but they're not my powers. And you will be extraordinary, in a manner of speaking, but ordinary. Extraordinary is normal. It means God-centered. It means you already have the means to receive, let's use some descriptive words. You tune into a radio signal that is how can I find the words? We all have two signals. One is the radiation frequency from the world around you. You respond. You respond like an animal in conflict with your human. But the response to the pressures of the world tends to block out. They are the signal, which is from the inside. So you may know what's right, but when you respond, you can't serve the other master because you're in obedience by responding. So you must know that when you get upset about something, excuse me, when you get upset about something, it's because it's the evidence of you have not found God. Or you've looked for him and thought you had it because you're a Muslim, Jewish, Christian. And do not misunderstand me, that to be one of the three great religions of the world is to be a member of it. Well, at least I can see two of them. You know, if you live it, you're in good shape, and if you live the other one, if you don't practice it, you'll be a lot better off, in my opinion. When to practice, to live a false, be a Jew or a Christian, intellectually, and just to go through the motions, it gives God a bad name. If you practice, I don't know about the other religion, but it seems to me it's prevalent. If you practice it, you're not a very nice person. So you're better off not practicing it very much, not being a practicing Muslim, because then you're a better person. But you saw the tenets are good. The idea's there. If you select the right ones, you can still call yourself that, and we can get along. But it can be an extreme, and also Christianity can be an extreme. See, it can also be, there's the Crusades and there's the Inquisition. It's the same sort of thing. Everything goes to extreme. So then there's a rebellion against religion, and that goes to extreme. And they all become dictatorships. So we don't need to be, we, the people, need to be self-governing. But you cannot be self-governed unless you find God first. It's okay to believe in him and kind of act the part out for a while. But that is good, but not good enough. Because if you just act it out on the stage, you're just an actor, and when you're tested, you'll be found wanting. And that's what's wrong with the Christians in America. 88% of Christians in America are ruled by 3% communists. Born-again communists, meaning, I mean, that's not a good way of saying it, but they are homegrown brand of left-wing Marxists that have a great deal of influence over everyone, including the Christians, because they don't know how to deal with temptation. You're dealing with temptation. Marxism, socialism, it is very seductive. Just like Eve in the garden was seductive. Seduces man from his former belief into believing a lie. And so we all live in a little world because we come into the world born in sin, born subject to a system of broken fathers or failing fathers. It's a system of failing fathers. So you can be the very best father you can be, and that's nice. But until you have the authority over your wife and children, until a woman respects the authority of a man whose authority is God, a woman can see that. A good woman, needs a noble man to say, put the fruit down, Eve. I don't need your mothering. I don't need your emotional support and affection. I don't do anything for that reason. I love you because I see the good in you, but I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to embrace the not so good, which all men do. And this relationship where men put women on pedestals and embrace them as if they were the center of the universe, which in the beginning they love. But they cripple the man with that love, and all hell breaks loose, And hell passes through the lady into the gentleman, and then there's a war for power. So, it's what we're looking at in all your problems has to do with original sin. And it passes from husband, mother and father to the children. The children see the war, the father failing, the father being a beast, the father being a wimp, and the mother, even if she's being beaten to the ground, you're going to have sympathy for her and hate your father. Hate your father, you can see. You're actually separated from the father, you cannot see. She's done her work. All hell has done its work through her, whether she realizes it or not. And she keeps giving in, and then you're up pretty soon you hate both your mother and father. Is there?
It's true.
See? I just hit a little chord there. Because you hate your mother for being weak.
Yeah.
See? And letting your father beat you up.
Yeah.
And it gets very complicated. We don't need the complication right this minute. But we want the business of trying to undo the little secrets we've had. You've been beaten as a kid. You've been rejected. Your mother has lived through you, or she's degraded you because she hates her own husband. He has failed her. She's pushed herself on your dad, and he's rebelled against it. And she's frustrated and hates him because she has some expectation from men. And it could be an expectation that he would embrace her and love her as she was queen of the universe. And she would reward him with sex and love and affection as long as he's a dog and not a man. See? As long as you can enjoy the contempt or the worship. And contempt works. See, if you have contempt, it's for you feel superior to the contemptible. And of course, if you are loved, wow, if you're pretty, you never grow. Being pretty and beautiful is a curse. If you're beautiful, men will love you and ravish you and bring you gifts. And you don't actually spoil you rotten so you can't function except being more and more beautiful, except you get uglier and uglier and uglier. Because after all, the beauty goes, and especially ugliness is in. Because what men do is call the ugliness out of the woman. And pretty soon she is ugly, but she never wants to see it. But then you've got a good witch. Well, but when she's ugly, she's a bad witch. That works just as well. Ugly, bad, mean, men still subject to it. You could just see the scene. Ugly old woman berating the poor drunken old guy. And he feels guilty about being angry and drunken, and he needs approval from the woman who is weaker than he is, but more powerful in her spiritual ruling over him. And so, now we've got to be very careful here. I want to send you out into the world as emissaries of goodness, because each one of you can affect 100 people in your lifetime. And that can only happen if you have authority. And if I wasn't some kind of authority, you wouldn't be here. It takes one to know one. So is it true that I have, as an ordinary man, what your father should have had as an ordinary man? And that's all I need. Then you voluntarily listen to me. And if I hit a nerve, that nerve is simply not so much of as a nerve, it's an awakening. You've suffered through all of your life because of this. You've duplicated your life because once you begin to hate one parent or the other, you cannot help but play out one of those roles. So you have a weak father and a strong witch mother. Okay, so you got both of them in there. Which one don't you want to be? So if you don't want to be the weak one, you become mean. You don't want to be beaten up and degraded, so you're going to be strong, but it's the wrong strong. It's the strong of the wrong that you hate. What choice have you got? One parent's weak, one parent's strong, or both of them are limp-wristed. God help you. That's why that boy ran off to Iraq or...
Rat boy.
Yeah. Yeah, but he wasn't. He was just saw Muslims as strong men. He wanted to be a strong guy. And he was surrounded by feminists and weaklings. He just hated it. He hated his own country because it was so full of feminist and weak, limp-wristed men. So he went and joined the Al-Qaeda. But he just wanted to be a man. He wanted to be... That's kind of... Little boys play with guns because it's natural for little boys to want to be men, defend their country, defend their families. It's only natural. In this country, the spirit of Paradise Lost sits on your doorstep.
Why did he not? Why? That's cool.
Yeah, here's the gentleman here. We have you next.
Yeah, Roy, keeps coming into my head about, earlier you said, you don't want to influence too much.
Fair enough.
Can you give me a little thought about that?
Yes. That's a good question.
I thought that's not all bad, you know.
No. Let's put it this way. I influence you, you're here. But then I contradict myself by saying, you should not influence others, but I should have added willfully to have your way with them. So you cannot will people or silently manipulate others for your own, or be kind for the purposes of them to love you because you love them. Because once that person accepts your love, if it's not real, if it's not pure love, but you've fooled them, you put a little extra energy into it that doesn't belong. And you pump their ego up a little bit, like I did to you, and make you sit in the front row. But I have to make some points here. The gentleman is asking a very good question. But there's something about... Let's start from the beginning. You try to influence me. You try to fool me. That's not easy. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not dead yet. I've still got a few years left, so that something can get me. It doesn't mean that I have been fooled before, but I learned what the weakness was. There's always a selfish motive that allows you to be fooled. Always. It's not pure naivete. See, there's always, and you have to look at that. Oh, it may take a little while for you to catch up with it, but the worst thing you can do is resent knowing it. If you could live with that fact that you were fooled, you will recover. The end result of that is that no one can fool you. Because you just watch people, and you're not inspired by what they say to you. You're not puffed up. Or nor are you depreciated by their criticisms. So you walk between two walls, one praise, one criticism. Nobody can get to you. Now, in other words, there's a distance between you and the world. I do hope you're understanding what I'm saying, sir. You understand the point that I'm making? You seem to have got lost.
I'm just...
Yeah, I'm explaining it, though. See? I see I lost you. You were sort of examining the rear end of your microphone.
Yes, I am, Roy. And I'm having a good time. I don't have to get all this stuff. I can get one thing. You mentioned about arthritis.
No, don't change. No, you're changing the subject on me. I'm getting too close. See what happens when you get too close. You asked a great question. And I'm answering the question in great detail.
That's my problem.
What, your problem? You can't hear it?
No, I can't handle great detail. It's sort of like it... Well, maybe I can.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
You're here to be able to handle.
Yeah,
but the details...
I got to get more engaged.
Yes.
Yes.
So
then I can handle
because I saw you drifting off.
It's all right.
You were drifting off, looking at the rear end of your microphone. So I wonder what other rear ends he'd be watching lately. We have to have a little humor here, otherwise we get bored, No, but let me just say it more quickly.
Thank you.
The secret of the influence is the influence of no influence. If you cannot influence me with your bad, if I hold my ground, and I am not excited by praise, nor degraded by criticism, you cannot move me. And this is possible. This is the evidence of a person who is God-centered. It's natural. In the beginning, you have to watch out for little irritations. Watch for little praises and get puffed up. Will not look for approval. You have to look at this, that you're looking for approval. And that you make that person God when you get approval from them. And you become subtly enslaved. It's very subtle. But if you walk between the two pillars, meaning praise and criticism, and you're not moved by either one, you're not influenced by anything, but you're just watching. You don't judge. And remember, judgment is when you think somebody's wonderful. And judgment is also when you think someone's a dirty, rotten swine, and you're angry. When you think somebody's wonderful, you're puffed up. And when you're angry, you're puffed up. So that makes you king and judge. See? Now, that separates you from God. And you will be influenced. You will be manipulated all your life between those two. And then the more angry you get, the further you fall from reality, God, and the more you need to put someone in a pedestal to be loved. You work for approval. Damned if you get it, because it encourages you. Damned if you don't get it, you're angry and guilty, and you have to work harder for approval to assuage the guilt. But now, so you can't touch me there. There may be other places. But you cannot influence me. But the beauty is, it's like a one-way mirror. I can influence you. You can't influence me. And how do I influence you? By just not being influenced. It's the influence of not being... You're drifting away again.
No, I'm staying in between the two, bro.
You're in between the cracks. I'm just saying, I'm saying something. Hear me. I'll say it in few words, just for your sake. No, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm just having a little...
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'll
So,
catch it.
in other words, if you cannot influence me, the force in me, which I don't even know I have, I don't feel the force. You're using a force to influence me. You're using some energy, not healthy energy. And you'll use that energy up, trying, until you're broken. Because when you try to influence me one way or the other, whether you realize it or not, what comes back at me is like I'm like stone. But I'm not like stone. There's an energy radiating that I don't know is there. I absolutely cannot feel the radiation, but you can. I'm the radiator. I rock your boat, but it's not me. It's him in me greater than it in you. And so that part, what stands there on the chessboard of life is a person who is a manipulator. He is a clone of darkness, so to speak. He doesn't know that what he is come down through the generation, whether you're Muslim, Christian, or Jew. It doesn't make any difference. The bitch and son of a bitch, excuse the expression, nature is in him, and he has no tolerance for your presence on this earth. The average person has no tolerance for innocence. The average person does not know it. You can go to church, you can be a Jewish person, be a Christian person, he'd be a very nice person, but underneath them, if you get to know them, if you get married to them, if you're doing business with them, I tell you, you're going to see it. And it's that cover, that mask will come off and it will get to you. See? Now, if you're wise, you never get in bed with them in the first place. But life has it that you do. You are sort of deceived by appearances. And then you wake up in bed with them, business-wise, marriage. Now your job begins. But once you start to react, you're done. And so you try to speak up to this thing. But this thing has no tolerance for your truth. Even especially as children. Children are very, very vulnerable. And it's easy to imprint you with the nature of rebellion and conformity. Either one are bad. I'm not a rebel. I'm not a conformist. I'm me. I'm how everybody should be, and if everybody was like me, then you only need a government just to fix the roads and do the usual things that governments do. Have an army, so on and so forth. But they won't regulate your life. The doctors will go digging ditches. Psychiatrists wouldn't be needed. Preachers wouldn't be needed. Because each person would be sovereign. And we'd elect a sovereign person. We'd recognize, it takes one to know one. But on the other hand, on the other side, the wrong people, the manipulators, the people who degrade, will elect one who's greater than themselves as a template for who they are, as a reinforcement for their wicked behavior, their selfish behavior. It's all about you. It's not about your country. It's not about right and wrong. It's all about you. Welfare, Medicare, sort of like sickness care.
Like a better degrader.
Yeah, but the degrader needs a better degrader to reinforce the degrading self, to justify the degrading self. And then you have a system of people like that, and then you have dictatorship. You can't move because there's always a degrader looking at you, going to report you to the authorities. See that? And this is what's happening to America. And all of you right now are part of that. All of you are part of it. And now, you're part of it because you really do not know how to stand your ground. You're like Ruthie here, a perpetual people pleaser, aren't you?
At times, yeah.
In times, no. There should be no times.
There are times and
See?
years.
Who is a perpetual people pleaser here? Only 2? Only 3? Only 4? Who opens their mouth and upsets everybody purposely? You do it, huh? In other words, you're strong. You know right from wrong, but then you come across and you ram it down their throat. And damned if they conform because they've lost who they are, and damned if they rebel because they're going to be the opposite of what you are. See that? Yeah. Now give the lady. Oh, there you are. You have one. Yeah.
Hi, Roy.
Hi.
I want to ask you a question about influence. I grew up with you since I was a little girl. My dad listened to you.
Yeah.
My dad went crazy in and out of mental institutions, and now he's a drunk.
Yes.
But I know,
How old are you?
I'm 49, and I know that in him, he loved where you were coming from.
But he didn't make it.
Not yet. He's still alive and breathing, so.
Well,
Anyway.
takes time for some people.
So I wanted to just talk about your influence over me and his influence over me, my life. I loved my dad as a little girl. I always loved my dad.
So what went wrong?
And I believed him.
What went wrong?
When I was about 35, I started to see he wasn't who he said he was, that he was crazy. But I grew up with all your teachings and all the words, and don't get up, all. And so, my true self was stolen. So when you talk about don't get upset and reacting, you can do it one way or you can do it from yourself.
That's
and I've
correct.
never truly done it for myself. I can say that I'm bound by heaven.
Yes.
God's never let me go, but I'm also bound by hell.
You're sort of stuck between two worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I've tried to do it my way, but I never not loved you, or I never not loved the truth, even if I didn't like it.
Yeah, but
This,
there's a very loaded question. I'm not sure.
I just want to
it's-
open my
it's
mouth.
good. No, it's a good question, and it's loaded because here you are, so many years later,
Yeah.
and you still need a spanking,
Yep.
but you still need to grasp something here.
I just want to move from myself
I
and
know.
not from what you say.
I know it. You see, but the thing is, as long as you resent your father, as long as you resent your mother, and maybe you resent your father with your mother's resentment. As long as you see, your resentment is not yours from the beginning.
As long as I resent my father with my mother's resentment. That's
See?
Amen.
That's right. So she put that in you.
Yes.
And you've taken it to be yourself.
And I'm sorry.
Yes,
she's a real bitch.
Okay. That's right. And that's the reason why your father's cuckoo. And so
They're not together.
And I know, but that's the reason why he didn't know how to handle it.
And he would see me, and he would go crazy, screaming at me, because he said, "You're your mother, you're your mother."
That's it.
He would freak out.
He hated both of you.
Yes. You're right.
And you actually were. But you were not unwitting were.
But I wasn't only that. I wasn't only my mother.
No.
Was I?
Well,
Well,
you've got your mother's nature in you.
yes.
And your father, like most men, did not know how to deal with the stubbornness of it. Look, you know I make no secret of my own life. Never have. My life and my marriage is right out there. I'm not going to pretend to hold my wife's hand and walk down and we're happily ever after so I get elected. See, she's difficult. Right to this day, there's a little crack in there, but you have to understand there are some people, men and women, who are of the lie. You ever read the book?
Yeah.
The People of the Lie?
Yeah. I have.
It's an okay book. It doesn't do a whole lot for you. It just tells you that there are people who would rather drive their children crazy
That's my mother.
than admit they're wrong.
Right.
Then they have a contrast. And then the contrast has to be greater and greater because every time they puff up with judgment and anger, they're in greater conflict. And they're addicted to the power. And how do they get their power? By robbing you of yours. By robbing you of that bright little common sense creature. And what you do is when you decay, when you get upset, you give off an energy. And they feed off of it. But we're going to get to you. I'm just
Okay.
Just giving you some.
I'm just opening my mouth.
Yes, that's good. That's good. But the opening your mouth is giving me a place to go in and help you. So you bought, without realizing it, the hate that you have, the original hate of God, passes through the generations of women and confounded men. Because when men are born of women, first man is so beautiful. The story is magnificent, and if you listen very carefully, it cannot help but be true. Because there's a trail of clues. The trail of clues is broken marriages. So I could write a book. There's only 3 or 4 ways marriages end up. 2 ways. The man's a beast, or the man's a wimp. The woman's a beast, the woman's a wimp to the beast. They're both beasts. They're both wimps. There's nuts. There's no truth in the house. There's nothing to rule but hell. They each one look at each other as being the wrong one. My wife looks at me. She has a secret life. She actually doesn't see why I'm yelling at her. And she forgives me for it. She's very patient with that. Roles reversed. Like Saddam Hussein is very patient when he kills everybody. 10,000 people a day, it makes them feel superior, content, calm. See, in the center, because he's in control. He has the power. But he becomes more ruthless for the sake of it. Because his conscience will catch up with him, because he's a killer. See? And so, I marry a woman. I didn't know what I was getting into. 2 weeks, that's all I knew. So I'm stuck 56 years later. No. But it's all right. It's all right. I'm not hurt by it. I've said, now look, Anne, either you go mad or I go mad. Which one would you like? But so I don't want to make you mad. I would rather you be a whole bright lady and appreciate where I'm coming from and correct me when I'm wrong. I explain these things to her, and she doesn't hear it. She doesn't hear it. It's so that she's thinking about something while I'm talking to her. You see her eyes going, reading something, some card. See? Yeah, I understand you. Of course I understand. No, she doesn't. Oh, I realize this. I think I'm getting better now. She doesn't know what better is. Now, there's a hardness of heart. It takes a while. You may have to be with your wife or your husband for almost your whole life. And there could be a thief on the cross episode where the thief repents and says, and realizes what they've done. Well, the other one doesn't. Doesn't that tell you a whole story about people? That there are some people who never get it? Or perhaps you're living with someone like that. Perhaps you're working with someone like that, and you try to explain it to them and they become offended. Because they're comfortable in that zone so long as they're not challenged. That's what I was saying to you. So what do? You can't challenge them all the time. You tolerate that. In other words, as long as it doesn't amount to a whole lot, it's just a lot of babble and a lot of accusations and all that, why should you bother about it? You let it roll off you like water for duck's back. Why would you take something personally? And all that, why should you take things so hard? Why should words affect you so deeply? It's because you need words of affection, and it's the opposite. Because words have already destroyed you. But words can't undo it. Words of criticism can destroy you, but words of praise cannot fix it. It's like food. Food is the original sin. It's not it could have been anything. God should have said, if you ride that bicycle today, son, see, of all the bicycles you can ride, not that one. See, if you rode that bicycle, some little boy says, hey, Dad, he was a little boy once. His dad was a god. We're all gods. He just wants to test you to see if you have the courage to. A big lie. See. However, in his immaturity, he buys the idea, and then what happens? He involves himself. He rides the bicycle. He eats the fruit. It could be a brownie. See, it could be anything. It's not the thing itself. It's the fact that you cross over to the other side, and especially eat it, indulge it. Because when you imbibe it, it becomes the energy of your whole being. It becomes the food from which you live, lie. And so, just as a compliment, a praise, is not the cure for criticism. You can't work for it. It doesn't work. You're just as much caught up with the praise and a slave of it. So, health food isn't the cure for original sin, the way you eat. Because in food, through the generations, look, I'll give you a story. It's my favorite story. It was when I saw my mother do something. Well, it was almost dinner time, so I reached for an apple and I started to eat it. And all of a sudden, a hand comes along and takes the apple out of my hand. So this is not dinner. It is. So she takes a little thing that takes the core out of the apple. She fills it full of raisins. She sprinkles cinnamon and sugar on it and puts it in the oven. And she cooks it. And this concoction she puts in front of me. I have the hand of the God. And said, this is meal. She's actually interfered with God's nourishment. She's put herself in it, and you eat it. And what happens? You're eating part of the extension. In food has a curse in it.
Is it because she wanted to make it better?
No, it's not because she wanted to make it better.
Okay.
She's unconscious. She does not know what she does. Every woman, these food shows, Chef, Guru Boyardee, these food shows are for women, sometimes men who are their own mothers, You ever see one man cooking his meal and singing? He's his own mother. You can be your own man too. See? But it's because the women have a way of getting to a man through food and sex. The next thing is sex. First the original sin. First the food, and then he looks down and sees he's naked. Oh dear. Embarrassment. And he says, I'll take care of that. See? It's original sin.
By trying to make it better. It wasn't that you're trying to make it better, but
No.
I can make this better.
You can't make it. You can't make an apple better than an apple. Can you? You can only make it worse. But it looks better. It has more taste. It has more flavor, and then the appreciation goes to the cook. All right. Right. So we don't want appreciation to go to the cook.
So that's what I mean. It's a way of puffing.
You don't want to
Your mom-
arouse
your
a
mom will puff
person.
her up. Yourself
If you watch me eat, I just eat a little porridge, raw grains. I eat some salad, a lightly cooked fish. I'd eat the fish raw, and I'd eat the meat raw if it wasn't contaminated the way it is. I can do all that. I could eat raw eggs. There's no problem with me to anything raw. I'd eat you. You don't look healthy enough, though.
I wouldn't taste good.
You never know. I'm a good cook. I can make anything taste good. I can make anything better. No, the thing is, the point I'm making is food, health food, even if it's health food, even if you eat apples off the tree now, it's called food. And even though if you eat health food, never mind mother's food and all the fancy stuff, even if you were to go on a health food diet, it doesn't cure the sin. It's repentance. See? It's the understanding that because look how many fat people there are. See? Overweight. What it is, they think that it's like a drug. Food has become a drug because there is a mystery to the original sin. It's the suggestion. The suggestion is incorporated into the food, so that whatever you eat, whether it's raw food or it's health food, it will not cure you. It will make you healthier physically, of course. But the idea that you could live forever, and or you could live a lot longer and become a better human being by eating, that you can find salvation in it, the cure of disease. And I'm not saying that that kind of food is not better than other. It is better. Of course it is. Because we will live longer, but you've got to be disabused of the idea that it can save you. It's the manner in which you eat the food. It's where the food goes to. It's the reason, in other words, the reason for your life has to change before anything you do will go to the right spot. If you eat, if you sit quietly and you give yourself over to your Creator, whatever, and that's not an easy thing to understand yet. We'll go through that in just a little while. But if you could find, and some of you haven't yet, as you wouldn't be here. See? You haven't really found it yet. It's so simple. It's hard. It's absolutely zero. It's learning to do nothing right. I have a saying, if you do nothing right, you will do nothing wrong. It's impossible. You can spill milk, but that's not a sin. You can forget an appointment. That's not a sin. But whatever sin is to do everything for the wrong reason. But color it as if it was the right reason. So you're eating good food. Well, you see, you believe that good food will make you a good person. See, it will help you solve your. Well, of course, it will. All this will work if you get all your ducks in a row, if you eat the right food, if you drink the right drink, if you have sex the right way, if you learn to speak up for yourself in the right way and not the wrong way, if you learn to listen in the right way and learn to take correction and not come back too quick when somebody points something out to you when you should listen to it. And you close it out of your mind, like the gentleman just walked out a little while ago. He's gone. See, it's too painful for him. See, unless he's got constipation or took Axelex last night. There could be another reason. Well, come on down. Come on down the front. It's too far. You're too far. Oh, there you are. There. Oh, you need to be up front here.
Okay, I'm starting to wake up now. I had a long drive getting here last night.
That's no excuse.
And then my buddy was sawing logs all night long and had to figure out how to wake him up. And so, there is such a thing as being rummy in the morning.
No, not me.
You don't tell the truth all the time, Roy.
I do?
No, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But I do believe many
No,
of the things that
sometimes
you say.
I withhold the truth. I sometimes withhold it. I don't say it because it's not appropriate. I don't always tell the truth, of course. I just don't tell it. See?
Now, where was I?
You were rummy.
Yes, I'm feeling better. I went outside, took a little walk, and watched some squirrels or otters play back there, and I'm starting to come alive. So I feel like I might be able to engage a little better today.
Okay, well, what have you learned so far? Nothing.
No, I don't want to agree with that, but you can. That's a beautiful thing. The way to do nothing wrong is to do nothing right.
No, you got it backwards.
Well, I'm a backwards man.
Yeah.
That's how I start.
Look, let's get to it then. Let's get to the point. Would you like it? Let me see if I could find somebody who has a real serious problem with anxiety and who's really bad off here that needs a little help right this minute. No, you've been around too long. Okay. Is anybody here that has got who's got arthritis? Who's got heart problems? Who's got cancer? Who's got something that we will see a marked improvement in before you leave here? Because you do have cancer?
No, I have severe fibromyalgia and degenerative joint disease.
Yes. And how long have you been listening to me?
Almost 2 years.
And have you improved any?
I stopped meditating after about 3 or 4 months.
You did.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I bought a house and I got real busy.
You're the lady that called me the other night?
No.
Was that you? Oh, that was you. You gained a little weight since the last time. I didn't recognize you. You're blowing up like a blimp. It does change. You okay? Good, I'm glad. Well, look. Put the microphone in your left hand. See if you can do it. You might all want to try this. It wouldn't hurt. If you can, if you want to. But it may come a time I'll bring you up here and I'll show you how it works. For instance, anybody smoke? That would be a good one. Well, you could bring your cigarettes up here and I'll show you how it's done. See? Maybe that's a good idea. Would you like to stop smoking? Come up here. Okay? Oh, you don't? Well, does anybody have a cigarette here? He reaches for the pocket there. You got one?
I got a cigar in my car.
Oh, well, maybe after lunch you may want to bring a cigarette in. I think I'll wait for an effect. See, what I want to show you, for instance, a cigarette, it's very difficult to overcome that. Well, alcohol, I don't want you to get drunk or anything like that, but cigarette smoking is something that's easy to demonstrate the value of meditating correctly. Now, how do you meditate correctly? You can do that I'm meditating right now. I'm talking to you. You don't notice it. See, all I have to do is be simply aware of what I'm saying, and I can see my mouth opening and closing, but I don't know what I'm going to say next. See, the words come out. And of course, on the other side, on the negative side, your mouth opens and closes, and you don't realize what's coming out. Except I do. I realize, I can see my own misspeaking. I can catch myself in the act as a rule. Every now and then, I may use a wrong word and say mother instead of dad. And and you can say, oh, you mean your mother? Oh, yeah, I meant your mother. I take correction. I heard myself say it. But if you remind me quick enough, I'll catch it. So each one of us speaks, and the Bible says it very perfectly. Out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaketh. And it also said, a fountain cannot give salt water or fresh. It has to be one or the other. So the fullness of the heart thing works for me pretty well. If you're full of it, it don't come out right. But if you're tuned in, you have a natural way of saying things that's recognizable, that you are coming from a different place. And I'm not sure if you understand what I said, but it's rare that you see a person who's free-spirited, that they carefree, that they don't know how sweet and delightful they really are. See? But you also know people like movie stars who act that part out. But it's a little overdone. And if you're coming from a good place yourself, you can see the same behavior, but the timing is wrong. Because I know what timing is. I know when you should get up and offer and do something, and whether you sort of delay it a little bit because you're lazy and you give an excuse. I can tell that. That's not hard. I can tell a person when they're not. But they can act that part so well, they're believable. But a sociopath can do that. Sociopath can imitate you perfectly. He could be all things to all people. And he's more likable than God, or she's more likable. It's usually sociopaths are mostly men. They're more likable. They're believable. Because you hear them, you hear the imitation of grace. And you put your faith in them, and they'll take you down a whirlpool life of misery. So there's only one clear path. And that's within. And when you sit quietly, just for a little, if your heart is good, and if you're not tangled up in some mysterious way, which we shall talk about with you in just a minute, I haven't forgotten you. Because the tangle is, everything will flow as it should, and the good people will recognize you and open their arms to you, and you come into their world. And the bad ones will they will sort of hurt you, criticize you, try to degrade you, and you have to live in a world of broken people. So you have to walk among them. You can't live as a monk in a monastery. See, you got to walk more like Jesus. He wasn't a monk. He walked among them. He knew how to deal with all the broken people, but he didn't heal everybody. People marveled. People were afraid. And every now and then, he touched somebody's heart, and they get better. But he didn't cure a lot of people. He cured just a few. He couldn't cure the one in his own hometown, could he? See? Because they couldn't believe in him. Because, we know Jesus, he was born here. They didn't have the faith in him. See? They didn't have the faith. And it takes faith. It takes something called faith in me. However, I must qualify that. As a person, as you will have to be, if you want to be an influence in the world for good, then if I am, let's assume, I'm not saying I am, I hope I am, that you recognize it in me and you love it. You don't love me, otherwise I get in the way. See that? So where you hear where I'm coming from, right? You see the difference? If I'm coming from that place, it tickles you in a certain way. See? See? And it's sweet. And you welcome it. We've got to be careful not to worship me and put me on a pedestal. Wow. No outward display of emotional excitement, but you may feel like you want to cry, like something wants to come to the surface, that you want to talk to me. Because you know if you talk to me, I'll understand you. Right?
Oh,
Are you ready for that?
yeah, I'm totally ready.
Would you want to come up here and talk to me?
Well, it's been my prayer that, it's been a long time, and it's been my prayer that I'd be just willing to come, and I just wanted to come and talk to you.
Come on. Right here.
I did want to talk to you.
You're getting too close. Okay. What do you want to talk to me about?
I remember years ago, psychotic basket case, and you said to me, you kind of have to give up your selfishness. And I never understood that for years, because I thought I was deprived of everything I needed from my parents, and I didn't know what selfishness meant.
Yes.
And I remember you hugged everybody after. And I remember I looked at you, and you looked at me, and it was like you weren't going to come to my side. I was going to have to walk over to your side, and there was a chasm.
Yeah.
And when I hugged you, it was cold, and it was scary. It
sounds like my wife.
No. It was terrifying.
You weren't ready.
Well,
You weren't ready and you weren't understanding yet.
But
it's taking time.
It's taken time.
Yeah.
And
I'm okay with it.
And I always wanted to just sit here. And I just, you know what? Even if a part of me doesn't like it, I'm willing to give up my mother. I don't care. There's nowhere else to go.
That's right. That's
There's
a good place to be.
There's nothing else. I don't care about a husband. I don't care about a family. I don't care about a house. I'm not a great person, but there's nowhere else to go. I work in physical therapy, and I go into people's homes, so I get to see all these people that you're talking about.
All broken and never to recover.
And some of them are sweet souls. There's a lot of nice,
but you could
strong,
you could be very
souls.
helpful there one day.
It's not my intent when I go. I don't have that. Anyway, I'm just rambling.
No, you're not. You're expressing your heart.
So I've been a person that's been wrought with lots of anxiety and depression, and I've drinking far too much red wine. But reality is always there every day, and I really am bound by God, and it's a good thing.
He follows you. He follows you.
He follows me, and there's a part of me that doesn't like it. I can't say, Roy, that I'm able to separate clearly, like you talk about, other than separating in my thoughts. When I signed up for this, my mind went crazy for 3 days. Every kind of hellish, horrid...
You're possessed, in other words. What you're really saying is that there's something in you that isn't you.
And it won't shut up most of the time.
Yes.
And it
doesn't like me.
I can't feel that.
But it doesn't. That's why it went crazy when you signed up for this.
But I said, I'm coming hell or high water. What the hell? There's nowhere else to go.
Do you understand that?
I just really appreciate this.
No, I know. I just know what to do.
Okay.
I know you wanted to sit here. Okay?
And it's a story now, and I don't want to get emotional.
Yeah.
But my dad, it's the saddest thing.
Go ahead.
When my dad had an unhealthy dependence on me, my mom left him and he made me his wife.
That's it.
And I grew up.
And you resented that, didn't you?
And I grew up.
But you resented that.
Yes.
But you did it. But you did. You
I
played
did
the role
it.
anyway.
And my dad is a little bipolar. He's a little schizophrenic.
But you did fall to playing that role. That's not healthy.
So when I went to separate from him, I went back to college at 35 we owned a house together here, and I really knew we had to separate. He
And
was
have you?
never going to let go.
Have you?
Well, when I got done with college at 40, the agreement was to sell the house, and we're going to take her money, I'm going to have my life. He didn't want to do it, and everything was in my name because of taxes. I sold it, and he didn't eat or sleep for a year.
And then you felt, and
We
you
went
felt
into
guilty.
3
Did
mental
you feel
institutes.
guilty? Did you feel?
Yes,
did you
I
see-
felt like
You felt the obligation to rush there and to help him because
Yes.
otherwise he died.
I did it. I did it for 5 years,
Yeah.
and I moved him to Oregon, and it was just.
He's still here.
No, I moved him into a place. He was just. I
But
couldn't.
you see,
and then he.
You,
And then
but
we.
you see, you see
I
what's
didn't-
happening to you. Go ahead.
I got him up here. I got him set. My father went through EC3. He got electrical shock because he wouldn't eat. He
But you're
wouldn't
part of it.
sleep.
You're part of his problem. You feel responsible.
I know.
You feel responsible, and you can't. You tried your best to help him, and he got worse. And actually, you
Did I make him worse?
You did make him worse. Yes.
That's what I wonder. Is there a part of me that made him worse?
Yes, because there's a part of him that rose to the occasion when it shouldn't have.
Part of him or
No,
part
part
of
of
me?
you. There's a part of you that rose, like your mother. You can see that the relationship he had with your mother is the same one as that. He just transferred it to you. See, he became like a little boy, and he needed a woman's love.
And then I've wondered, my friends that I respect, I've wondered.
Where's a Kleenex?
I've just wondered all these. If I contributed to it.
You did, but you didn't mean to. You see that? You didn't mean to. You were under compulsion. So remember, your mother got to you. In other words, see, what I'm trying to tell you is...
My father, always our relationship since I was a little girl, it always felt like I bonded with him, but he always told me what a bitch my mother was my whole life, and really, it looked like I turned against her with him.
But you were just like him. You were just like your mother. See,
And
because he called
this
did you understand?
crazy
He
stuff.
called it out of you. You became like her because that wasn't the way. When they got married,
Well, they got married because she got pregnant.
I understand, but when they got married, he fell for her naturally.
Right.
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 And therefore, he was never a man for her. Every man who falls for a woman makes the woman the mother. You understand that? It's just by nature. When a man does not know how to love a woman, he calls upon the mother in the woman to nurture. If you look at original sin thing, and I don't want to make this too heavy, but wasn't Eve the mother of all egos? The first ego? First ego?
Because she wanted to.
The minute he ate the forbidden fruit, the minute he was seduced, he transferred the allegiance from God to the woman. It's been that way ever since. And every man born of woman is stuck in that role. They don't understand the mystical order from which they were descended. Through one man, sin. That's what we're talking about. The sin, the separation, the transference of allegiance from the God of his heart to the woman. And the woman was controlled by force which operates in them to this day until they find either themselves, they find a way around, find salvation without the man. It's possible. Women can find salvation. You don't need a man to find salvation.
God took all that from me. I don't have any.
No, he didn't take anything from you.
I meant.
It's the opposite.
I don't have.
No, that's not misspeaking. That is actually how you think.
Oh.
I hear a resentment towards God.
Okay.
Okay, and then a resentment towards me. Am I correct? A little resentment towards me, because I'm a man. One.
Maybe the resentment is the thought that I didn't get to find my own way. Whether that's a lie.
But you can have it now. Look, we've got to start with this.
Okay.
Your resentment towards your father began with the mother's nature transferred to you. What she felt towards your father is what you felt. See, but then you realize your mother was not good. See, so that you tried. Then sooner or later, your father became weak and dependent and broken, and she didn't do her job. She didn't want to have much to do with him. She had so much contempt for him.
Well, they split up when I was
I know.
very young.
But then, of course, he left you alone.
Yes.
And that nature inside you, he called, just like he called upon it, that mothering nature in your mother, so did he call
In me when he
it
was...
called up in you. See, and you thought you could better your mother and love him as a woman, and you made him worse. But you didn't know. You didn't know that. And then after a while you begin to have resentment towards him, and the more you helped him, the weaker he became for you. The weaker he became, the more resentful you became. The more resentful you became, the guiltier you were. The guiltier you were, the more you had to try harder.
Yeah.
To save him, to save yourself. See how it doesn't work? It's what I said in the beginning of the program.
So now he's just a drunk living in a little fifth wheel on the coast.
And leave him alone. There's nothing. Can you let your father go now?
You told me that once, and I never knew what that really meant.
Because you're still connected to him.
You're right.
You're still connected to him with unfinished business. And the unfinished business is you want to help him and you can't help him.
You're right.
You want to go to help him and then you don't want to. Then you pull yourself back, but you're stuck with the conflict.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, now you close your eyes.
Okay.
I'll hold this. Okay, close your eyes. This is very simple. Now I'm going to teach you a little meditation, which is very no, I know, but not the way I'm going to show it to you.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to take 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to transfer you. If you're ready, if you're not, can't do it. But if you're ready, I believe you are.
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm going to transfer your allegiance from your obligation to your mother and the effect of the obligation to your father. That's got to be broken. But you have to forgive him. But you can't forgive him until God forgives you. Listen carefully. Wherever God is, he's within you. He's the one that's causing the conflict. He's the one that's causing the anxiety. The conflict, your behavior, is from the world. It's from all those experiences, the resentments, the anger, the frustration, the desire to make things better, to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You don't know what the right thing is.
Yeah.
You do not know what the right thing is.
And I'm confused about the conflict of God
and the obligation to...
And the other weird conflict. That's the doubt and the other conflict.
The doubt is the pull towards your mom. The fact that you're your... excuse me. The fact that you're your mom, you don't know you've become like her. You're just doing a better job because she's a bitch.
Well, I think
in a manner of speaking, you want to do the right thing by your dad.
Right.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. But it's misguided.
Okay.
You can't do anything. Acknowledge the fact you cannot do anything. And therefore, if you really believe that, all the obligation goes away. But as long as you resent knowing it, see, the thing is, you resent knowing that you can't do something. There's an ego that your mother has put in you, so that when you realize that you can't help your father, you don't want to believe that.
No, I do want to believe it.
But you haven't, because you keep on trying to help
Right.
him anyway.
It just keeps-
Because it keeps on going. You doubt. You know you should. You know you should believe it. You know you can't help him, but something that says you've got to try harder.
Right. One more thing.
One more
If your
time.
heart was a little purer, if you did this,
Got it.
if you said this right, if you did that right, I'd be the God.
See
I
that?
could save him.
You can actually laugh over that. That's a laugh of relief, isn't it?
Well, because I know it well.
See, but now you understand it better, and that listen, understanding it quietly is the cure. You understand that? Now, here's where we're going to go. We're going to show you that God forgives you, and we don't need approval from anyone but Him, and He will give you approval if you just be still and cross over the border and let Him come inside you.
Okay.
But that's easy to do. You're almost there.
Okay.
See?
Let's go.
No, don't get excited.
Oh, no.
If you get excited, you start to spoil it.
Okay.
Just-
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Just close your eyes.
Okay.
Because this is not a game.
I know.
And I wish you were smoking a cigarette so I could show you how it worked. Because there's nothing to prove here. But never mind.
Well, I appreciate it.
Then we will do it. Because I want to help you to see it. But then only she knows it inside herself. That's the only thing. Now close your eyes. Now keep your eyes closed. Now, I want you to be aware of the middle of your forehead. Just be aware of that place in the middle of your forehead, right here, where my hand is. And where my hand is, it looks like a big screen, a widescreen television. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no picture on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's little speckles like white noise or pixels.
Mm-hmm.
See it?
Mm-hmm.
That's all. You know what that is? Don't open your eyes. Just listen to it. Just say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
That is programming. That's how God programs you. He doesn't talk to you. And now I want you to put your right arm by your side. And I'm going to keep watching that spot. It's scintillating, like even if you're in a dark room, you'd see it with your eyes open. You would see that with your eyes open. Is it still there?
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the speckles, there's no thought. You just hear my voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's happened? I'm going to explain it to you. You've just brought your consciousness from the back of your head to the front, here. That's very important, that you keep your consciousness there. Now, that programming is now starting to work. It's going to scintillate through every part of your body. But starting with your right hand, sort of shift your attention as though you're looking through the middle of your forehead. Bring your attention to your right hand, but your first finger, and it will scintillate in a different way as a tingling in your first finger. That's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more than that. And now the second finger. Do you feel the tingling in the second finger? Mm-hmm. And still that mm-hmm. look in the middle of your forehead where the pixels are scintillating in the darkness? Mm-hmm. All right, now, you do not know this, but I'm telling you, you're closer to God there. See? You are close to God and you don't know it. But I'm telling you the truth. And the truth is this. He's forgiven you. I haven't put it, He's not going to put it in words for you, but you're going to feel all the burden of being obligated to your mother and dad in the old ways. That's going to go away. And it can go away very quietly, or you can feel a burden lifted. See? Keep being aware of that. Feel your breathing changing? Something's happening. When you stand before greatness, breathing changes. When you're afraid of something, your breathing changes. Feel it? See that? Now, here's the rule. Believe He forgives you. Because you're a little kid, you didn't know any better. You come into the world, how could you know? Why should you go on blaming yourself, trying to fix yourself? You cannot do it, you've proved it. So, let all that go. You're not obligated anymore. He will fix everything. Effortlessly. Do you see that? Do you believe what I tell you? Now, here is the other rule. The protective rule of this relationship with God is that if He forgives you, you forgive others. But you don't forgive Him, you don't forgive other people the way God forgives you, which is to absolve you of all sin. All the past is not important, as of now. Now, how this is preserved is that since you've been forgiven, your kind of forgiveness is not let people bother you because you know that they know not what they do because you were in their shoes once. You're not anymore. You were in their shoes once. Therefore, they are not aware of all their foolish mistakes and the silly things they're saying to you and how they look at you and they judge you and all the rest of it. Your forgiveness, your relationship is preserved by understanding that they don't know what they're doing. And they don't know they're hurting you. And they don't know they're playing with your head, they're praising you, they're pulling on you. You can see that and let it go. Especially resentment. So from now onwards, resentment is a poison. It takes the beauty of discerning everybody and seeing things and not making a judgment, because sometimes it's not what you think. Sometimes it's just a projection of you. Sometimes that people are not really guilty. See that? Mm-hmm. So you don't really know. It's okay not to know. Just watch everybody. See? And don't pass judgment whether they're good or bad. Just see them. And you find yourself acting naturally. How do you feel?
Feel good. Grateful.
Feel lifted?
Yeah. I do. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else have a question?
I have a cigarette.
That's more like it.
Because I have the same problem as her. So.
All right. Let's both of you come up here. Okay. Yeah, well, who's going to hold the microphone? I can't hold it.
Okay.
So you both have cigarettes. Let's see. Light one up. You can share one.
Ew.
Let me do it for you. Oh dear. One second. Okay, light it now. Let me see the cigarette. Take a puff. Hold it in your mouth. I'm having a little fun with you. See? Say blow. There you are. I can do this too. I could do it this one. No, I'm just joking with you because I don't want it to be too serious. I don't want anything to be dramatic. It has to be real. If it's dramatic, it's not real. You understand that, don't you? So, you want to start smoking? If I can make you conscious, not make you conscious, if I can bring you to the consciousness that I just did with this young lady a little while ago, but I don't have to do anything. You don't have to. You've meditated, have you?
Yes, I've tried.
You tried, but you haven't succeeded? Oh, that makes it a little difficult. But let's try it. Let's try it without anything. You know, are you conscious of what you are? Are you sitting here in the chair with me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and how about you?
Yes.
Let's try with you first. I think you're easier to help for some reason, because I see the willingness. Now, light the cigarette for him, or give him your cigarette. That's good. Your husband and wife, are you? No. Okay. Okay, that's all right. Okay, ready? Close your eyes and take a puff of the cigarette, but hold the cigarette, and hold the smoke in your mouth. Take a puff of the cigarette. Hold it in your mouth. Now become aware of the taste of that cigarette. I just want you to become aware of it, because it's poison. And the reason why you couldn't taste it before is because you inhaled it, and the poison took the feeling of conflict away. Mm. Now, how does it taste? How does that cigarette taste?
Awful.
Blow it out and take another puff. Now, I want you to taste it and know that it's poison. See? And I want you to taste it, but not inhale it, because that's why the feeling becomes, the awareness goes away, so that you don't realize it's killing you, but it's giving you a sense of false patience and peace, right? Now, how does that taste again?
It's awful.
It's awful. Now, you find that, as if you're conscious, it'll be very hard for you to take the next puff. Because you can't do the wrong thing while being conscious. And if you are not conscious, you can just put the cigarette to your mouth and you'll be just like you were before. It means you're not here. But if you're here and you're aware of yourself, it's not easy. I mean, I can put it to my mouth and just play jokes with it, but you are a veteran smoker. You know the harm now it's doing it. You want to stop. So here's your opportunity. Just be conscious and see what happens when you try to put the cigarette to your mouth. What's happening?
I'm poisoning myself.
Well, what is happening when you try to lift your cigarette to your mouth?
I'm not doing it.
Well, try.
I don't want to.
Well, try. See, the force of your consciousness won't let you do it.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? See that? Now you can open your eyes and look at the cigarette, and now you've quit. All you have to do is just be conscious like this all your life and overcome resentments. That same consciousness applies to resentments and everything. The same consciousness. I'm just demonstrating something to you. Same consciousness applies to everything. See what happens when you try. You actually stop smoking now. And that could be the rest of your life. But the next irritation will reverse that. It turns things backwards. Then you want to smoke to get rid of the pain of your conscience, but you're getting rid of the wrong side of the equation. You need to get rid of the anxiety, the resentment. The resentment always creates anxiety, which leaves poison to kill one side of the equation. Conscious. See, conscious. You're a conscious human being. You have a whole life of you that decisions will be made. That's more or less a decision. Consciousness decides what right and wrong is. You know it's not right to smoke a cigarette, but before you knew it wasn't right, but you didn't know how to stop. Your consciousness is now activated. Now you want to give the to you. Let me see this. To this lady. Oh, you have your own. There. Now we.
Okay, my problem's worse. I have emphysema.
Emphysema.
From smoking.
Oh dear. Well then maybe.
My mom has it. Really
well, maybe we better do this little thing, because he was willing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to die from emphysema, do you?
No.
Do you resent your mom? Let me hold that a second. Do you resent your mom?
Yes.
You can go now. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
See, it works, doesn't it? See how magical that is? Well, that way you could see it, don't you see?
Yes.
In the young lady, you wouldn't see it. It's only confined to you. Are you okay?
Uh-huh.
You feel better? Like lighter?
Yeah, I do.
That's nice. So you walk out of here and you'll be free. And you won't be burdened with dad and mom and all the rest of it, because they love you. They want you to be free. I'm choking from the cigarette myself here. But we need to talk about your emphysema. Emphysema is like asthma, isn't it? It's very similar.
It's worse than asthma.
But it's similar.
It's a very slow process.
You know what adrenaline is?
Adrenaline?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know you only have a certain amount of adrenaline to run or fight.
Yes.
And that's sort of like a hormone that's necessary for function.
Mm-hmm.
If you run out of adrenaline on a railroad track, or if your little baby falls in the water and you've used up all your adrenaline, you won't be able to jump in and save the life of your own child. And the railroad car will come at you and run you over, and you won't be able to move off the track. Right. That's how dangerous it is. So it will take your life.
I know.
But what you have is a system of compulsions that leads you to be angry. You're an angry lady, aren't you? What are you angry about? I want to walk away tonight without any emphysema. This is what I'd like to do today. I want to walk
What
you
am I
out.
angry about?
Yeah, I want to know what you're angry. What upsets you?
My most recent upset over the death of my niece, who's...
Why would you be upset?
No, it's got to do with the boyfriend she was living with. I hold a lot of resentment and anger.
But that's her
towards
life.
him.
She made the choice to
Yes,
live.
she
You didn't
did.
make that choice for her.
Yes,
How
she
comes
did.
you're living through your niece, or is it niece?
Yes.
How comes you living through her? How comes you don't see that that's her responsibility? She's old enough to take responsibility for life. She's obviously had advice to the contrary.
Mm-hmm.
So how comes you get involved with it so deeply? You're involved with other things. This is not the only thing.
Because Samantha had a very hard life, seeing her mother die a long, lingering,
But you've got a hard
illness,
life. You're going to die from
and
emphysema.
never
if you don't
knew
get
who
it.
her father was. And then she ends up with a guy who abused her.
I understand it. It happens. I have a granddaughter that run off with a guy that abuses her. I looked out for her for 2 years. She lived at my house, and when I helped her, she did less and less for herself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She did less and less for herself, and then I said, "You have to." Then she didn't make her bed. All I asked was to make her bed. That's all, nothing else, and clean her room once a week. She didn't want to do it. And then when I brought it to her attention, she says, "F you," and ran out of the door. Because when you have a person who's not ready for love, you spoil them. The kinder you are, the more you
That's just what my mother did to Samantha.
see?
Samantha was sloppy with her room, and my mother would be after her all the time to clean it up.
Don't I know?
And then my mother would end up cleaning it up for her.
See?
Enabling.
She turned into she manipulated your mother into a slave. She got you what she deserved. She died. Too bad.
But I feel my mother was the weak one for not...
Well, maybe you resent your mom.
Yes, I do.
See? Maybe you sense that your mom, in trying to save her, did too much.
Right, exactly.
And so that you got a combination of... See? So it begins with your mom. And all resentments begin with parents.
Yes.
See that? So you resented your mom because she was nicer to this girl than she was to you.
Yes, she was.
See, it gets complicated, doesn't it? See, these reasons for resentment. See, resentment, when I say you have to give up resentment, it's not a matter of giving up resentment. When I speak about resentment, it's in general. But look how cleverly resentment is concealed in this or that. So now, but resentment is has a lot of guilt with resentment. Okay? So how do we get rid of resentment? How do we get rid of guilt? Well, it's doing nice things. This is what your mother did. Right. Okay? Or another way is having something to really resent so that you forget how resentful you are. Let's put it this way. Resentment is a judgment on your mom for those reasons. Resentment is also a resentment towards this girl making a fool of her life. But again, it goes right back to your mom, killing her, actually setting her up to do these stupid things. It also connected to the fact that she treats this girl better than you. And the girl tends to play up to her.
Yes.
And you didn't.
Right.
See? Exactly. So if you have two siblings in the house and mom spoils one, and one is weak and she gets all the benefit, and then but you are more strong and more stout, and you can't understand why she loves this weakling, but doesn't love you who are more independent. That's the same with Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats reward weakness, and they have no tolerance for if you're an individual because they can't control you. See that? That's it. That's what democracy is all about. Democrats is all about. So here we are. We've got to at least one reason for resentments, but the reason here is that now that she's dead, it's almost like hating someone because of a color. You're black. Therefore, because you're black, you can't change the color, and all black people are evil. So you're never wrong about resentment. Because black people are inferior. Now, I'm not saying they are. I said that would be a marker. And so once you've established that some people are incorrigibly inferior and evil, you have a right to kill them and to resent them and judge them and do what you like with them. Perfect justification in the mind. An erroneous perception, and you live from it. And you don't see anything wrong with it. Now, you don't want to be wrong about anything. You want to be a right person. Because this judgment is some kind of self-righteousness. So if you keep every time this comes up, or other things come up, especially this one, if you think about it, the injustice of it, the unfairness of it, the consequence of her loving her more than you, see? Yes. That's really what boils down to.
As a matter of fact, my mom told her girlfriend that she wished it would have been me instead of Samantha.
Meaning that you die.
Yes.
She never loved you. See that? Now we understand the subtlety of this.
Because she felt Samantha was, career-minded and was always ambitious, and I wasn't, but a stronger person than me.
She really wasn't, though, was she? Because she's spoiled.
She was spoiled, but she also suffered in her young life.
But she also suffered. But the point is, the suffering had to do with your mother spoiling her.
Yes, but it also had to do with the fact that she never knew who her father was, and her mother died.
But
she saw her mother rot away with a lingering illness at a very young age.
I get it, but still, look, you've had a bad life, and look, your life is also bad. But you're coming, you're here, you're getting better. You're going to be better. You're going to be better today. If I can just disabuse you.
I need to stop smoking. I mean, this is really
It's not the
serious.
smoking. The smoking is only the symptom. The emphysema is the symptom.
It has gotten worse.
I know,
the
the
emphysema.
the emphysema is the symptom. But it's not the problem either. The problem is your resentment,
Right.
your unforgiveness towards your mother. And so you, in one way, you're excusing this poor girl. And my granddaughter also had not a very nice mother. I mean, to put it mildly, all right? I don't want to say any more. That's my opinion. Allegedly. Allegedly, she was a witch. See?
Well, this
Okay,
was her grandmother.
and so a life was allegedly mother actually enjoyed turning them into drug addicts, so that I wouldn't love her. I couldn't save them, but eventually she came to my house. I've taken care of all my grandchildren, every one of them, and gave them all an opportunity. And this one, when she was so broken and hateful, I had compassion on her, real compassion. I didn't spoil her. I did require certain things, but she took that as weakness. See? And for about a year or so, we worked, and I was kind to her, and she, Grandpa this, Grandpa, and all of a sudden she started to rebel against authority. Instead of taking the kindness for what it was, and the corrections, we'd have discussions about resentment, the kind of thing I do, but never penetrated. And so she'd get more and more arrogant. So almost like my wife, the devil made me say that, my wife would do things for her. I said, you can't do that. So eventually I said, look, you've got to make your bed. And she wouldn't do it. And I gave her lots of opportunity. And when I said, no, you have to do your bed, all of a sudden she felt resentment towards authority. But I'm not the kind of authority where she came from. But she was so much like her mother. See, the hate of her mother for me was also her hate for me. She was just taking advantage of the comforts I was giving her, taking advantage of it.
Right.
See, I have a brother who did the same thing. I helped him through life, I put him through university, but he doesn't. There's some people who don't appreciate the fact that you've loved them and helped them. They feel inferior by the fact that you've helped them, or they feel like they're king, and it is a tribute, a due, an entitlement. See that? Lots of people in society are very dangerous like that. And so all of a sudden it's F you and out the door. Then where does she go? She goes to a guy that loves her, but this one loves her differently. He gives her the love. She gives her his body, her body, and then he starts beating her up when she doesn't want to do it anymore, and she can't stop giving herself to this beast of a man. It's just the way she couldn't stop giving herself to her mother. Except it was a mother in a different form, a different kind of mother, if you know what I'm talking.
Right.
See? So she comes back with practically naked. She runs away in a bus. And then she's back again, doing the same thing. So she's 22 years old. Will she get better on her own? People get better on their own. They either suffer. Suffering brings you to understanding without Roy Masters. I can be instrumental, because some things get very complicated. But of all people, I would be able to help her. No, she's like my wife. I can't help my wife, but I hate the word, manipulate. See, I can make her do what she should do, whether she likes it or not. And I'll explain to you how that's done. It's my right. It's rather than me doing what she wants me to do and going crazy. I'm driving her sane. See the difference? She's going to be sane whether she likes it or not. So
I thought I heard you say she was getting better.
she is. She's waking up. Yeah, she actually gave me a hug the other day. Oh, she said, it's so wonderful. I just feel so different. I'm not so sure I believe that yet, but we've got to give that a try. I'm not easily convinced.
I'm not sure if you understood. Samantha, my mother was her grandmother, and her grandmother raised her after her mother died.
It doesn't
from 12
matter,
years
but
old.
we'll put that also
So it's
aside.
the grandmother who was enabling her to
Yeah.
leave her room
It don't-
sloppy and
It doesn't matter. It just, yeah. But you have the resentments, though, to
right.
see. And you actually resent grandmother. You saw that it was a weakness on her part.
Yes.
You saw that. So what you need to do is a silly jealousy. What you have is a kind of jealousy. Jealousy involves resentment, don't you see?
It goes back to me people pleasing. My mother has control over me.
Yes.
And she's 80 years old. She's very ill. She can hardly go out of the house anymore because of the emphysema, which has really made her.
She has emphysema,
Yeah,
and you have it too.
yes.
Well, you
That's
actually you have
why.
the same nature in you, and the same disease. The disease is caught through the climate in your home, emotional climate, and your subservience to your mother is changing you into her.
And she depends on me for everything.
Now, you want to get better?
Yes, I do.
Well,
I want to run again without being out of breath. I want to.
but you see now, what we've really boiled down to is you have so much resentment towards your mother. Your mother wasn't the one that was kind to the lady then. It was the grandmother, right?
The grandmother.
Yeah. Which
Yes.
one? Which?
The grandmother was always nagging her granddaughter. The mother was, well, her mom said Samantha's mother
But
said.
your mother said something about you that you wished it was you, or was it your grandma?
My mother
Said-
said she wished it was me that died, not
And then you-
Samantha, her
But
granddaughter.
You really resent your mom, don't you?
Well, that hurt.
It hurt, but that's resentment. You can't hurt me with words. You can't
Right.
hurt me by what you do. That hurt is resentment. That hurt is hate. That hurt feelings are hate feelings.
But on the other hand, I can understand in a way what she meant by that because I'm disabled. I have 3 herniated discs, and I haven't worked in a long time. Samantha was a go-getter. She was ambitious.
But
She worked.
What happened
So
to you, Sonia? What happened to the disc?
between me and my disability and Samantha, she's comparing Sam should have lived because she was younger than me and she had her whole life ahead
Get
of
it?
her to be what she wanted to
But
be
it's not
in
a
life.
nice thought. It is
No, it isn't. No.
it is not a appropriate thought.
Right.
It's actually injustice.
Yes.
Okay. See, so the resentment towards your mother has, look, you're a good person. I sense in you a noble spirit. And a noble spirit doesn't want to admit you hate your mother. Because honor your mother and father is in the Bible. It's very, very important. Essential. You don't have to like them. You see, for instance, if I could just example, I like ice cream, but let me take ice cream. I don't like chocolate ice cream, but I don't hate it. Some people don't know the difference between not like and hate. And some people don't know the difference between like and love. I love my wife, but I don't like her. See how they said that? I love her. I don't love my children sometimes. I don't like my children when they're naughty. But that's not an aversion. It's just I don't like you the way you are. And therefore, I don't really want to help you very much. See? So I suspend any privileges that I might extend to them by graciousness, you see? So I don't hate them. I wait for them to come around. See? So you don't like your mother, but you really hate her. You don't know the difference. You have a deep hatred towards your mother, especially for the things she said about you, that you need to be better off that you be dead.
Yes, but it also goes further back than that, though.
Oh, you want to say it?
Well, when I was 8 years old, she left my father, who was very ill, and was
That's not a nice lady.
separated.
That's not a nice lady.
And my father died when I was 14, and I loved him so much. He was such a good man. And my mother left him because she couldn't deal with raising 4 children and his sickness, which she said she took for 10 years of his illness. She couldn't take it anymore.
But he may have been ill as a result of
her controlling. Yes, my father was the wimp and my mother was the
bully.
Now,
you are still a victim of your mother. You're just like your father. You're a victim of her, but you have a sympathetic illness. You're beginning to change places. You're beginning to be what she is. When she's dead, long live you, because you'd be her basically with all the illnesses.
Oh no.
So you don't want to be that.
No, I don't.
You don't want to be the helpless person with people looking to you to help you, and taking their life force. And because you'd be obligated to do that, since you can do less for yourself, people have to do more for you.
Right. I want that.
So now, I don't know about your herniated discs, but there's lots of work you could do. You still could do work with herniated discs.
Yeah.
See,
I know.
you see, so
I do.
you can make a lot of money. You can be very wealthy. You can be a nice personality, but you're too fixated to your mother to be able to extend your life in a meaningful way.
I never knew how deep the resentment was until the wake of my father. And when I went to the casket, I just broke down and yelled, "Oh my God, no, Daddy, no, Daddy!" And
I know. I had
out
father
of all
die
my
too.
sisters, I was the one who was so overwhelmed, knowing the realization of knowing I would never see him again.
I know. I felt the same way with my dad when I had to throw dirt on his casket. As a Jewish tradition, you have to shovel the first. I was the oldest. See, I know what it's like.
He was a gentle man.
I'm sure. Look, you understand women have a lot of power, don't they?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they do.
Yes,
That's
and
why
they
we
use
have a
it,
feminist society, which men are excluded, men are emasculated. So that's what government does when the shadow government rises. Liberals, shadow government. It's going to be your government if you're not careful. They want to emasculate the boys and encourage the women to demoralize the men. See,
Well,
and encourage the ladies to be whores. See that?
I can understand why so many men kill women.
Yes.
There's a connection there, right?
Yes. You know, I know, but now let's help you.
I'm telling the truth.
I know it's true. It is true. I sometimes, said the same thing to my wife. I said, if I was anybody else, you'd be dead. It's lucky that I'm me. She doesn't know how lucky she are. All the kids will be ruined. See? And it makes a difference when you learn to not take things so personally. And when I understand, like you have this, how old are you now, may I ask you?
51.
Okay, you've had this problem all your life. And look, you're right here, well, we can resolve this right here. But look, how many people have these problems all their life and they really don't know they have a problem? My wife thinks I've got the problem. And if I allow myself to be upset, pretty soon I do have the problem, and she looks like a perfectly normal, nice lady, and I'm going to blow my brains out. And everybody says, "Oh, what a nice person." You know, what? Everything's backwards in this world. Isn't it right?
Good one, yeah.
See? What are you laughing at? There's a certain truth to it, isn't it? So, let me have that a little bit. So, we want to get better? Did you see what he did?
Yes.
You can do the same thing. This time, close your eyes a minute. You have never meditated, have you?
Yes, I have.
You have? You tried?
Yes, I tried.
Yeah, uncross your legs then. That's good. Now, keep your eyes closed. And I want you to do exactly what this young man did. Whether you've done meditation or not, it works. All it means is that by focusing gently on the middle of your forehead, and you heard what I said to the gentleman, you're shifting your consciousness to the middle of your forehead, and therefore, it's almost like you have a self within you, a self within a self. Your body is just a frame, see? And you can actually look with an inner eye on the center of your forehead, just be aware of that spot. And it looks like a widescreen television with pixels and twinkling, flashing, not lights, but like a universe of little stars that twinkle all the time. They move. That's programming. As I said, you see it? Okay, now, that is energy. There's energy in there, and if you could just divert the energy, in other words, look at the energy and then sort of divert your attention down to your right hand, and put your right hand by your side, and go to your first finger, so that you're actually looking as though you're looking through the middle of the forehead, right? So that the awareness travels down the right arm to your first finger, and it tingles just a little bit. That's all I ask you. Nothing. If you become aware of your body, you can actually feel your body. You can be aware of your finger, that first finger, because bringing your attention to it. You know it's there. See that? Now, just do that. Keep your eyes closed. See if your head gets just a little heavier, and relax it. Just relax a little bit. And just breathe a little deeply. That's it. And just keep focusing gently. So thoughts are not there, but you can hear my voice. And you can hear me differently than you did a few moments ago when you were engaged with my personality. You can hear me say that God is there because you can live in two places. You can live in your head amid all your emotions and your judgments, and over again you can struggle with them and give in to them, and struggle with them and give in to them, and usually it's a person that involve people, places and things, way we described it. But you don't need to be that way anymore. Your life will become your own. But it's not really your own, because there's no such thing as freedom. You're free from right to do wrong. Right now, as we were speaking about before, you're actually free from the good in your heart to do the wrong things, but you're trying your best to do the right things, but you don't know what the right things were. You see, it's taking all your energy. It's taking all your strength. You just don't get it right. And your mother understands that. She's not a nice lady. She's not a nice, and she doesn't love you, and she doesn't care for you, but you must stop hating her, because that's what holds you. That's what binds you to her in a very unhealthy way. Just nod your head gently if you understand that. You do, don't you? Can you let that go now? And you can. And you know why you can? Because there's only two places your consciousness can be. Where it is now and where it was a few minutes ago. When you were talking to me, you were understanding me, but the change hadn't taken place, but you were moving towards change. All you have to do is be conscious as you are now and practice this little technique. If you're stopping at a traffic light, you can do it. See? It doesn't take a lot of time. It's a meditative state where your consciousness moves from the back of your head forward, and all of a sudden, everything, you see things two ways. You see with your eyes as well as through your eyes. See the difference? If you live through your eyes, you see your eyes are like television, they're like lenses, and you're looking through your eyes. It's not just pictures on your head that you're caught up with. See? So therefore, God gives you that power. He's with you now, but you don't notice it. You also, when you open your eyes, you'll be free from anger, because He's forgiven you. You don't have to forgive yourself. You can't forgive others because you don't know what that means yet. Mm-hmm. See that? So, forgiving others is a little different from what God gives to you. He takes away your sins, because when you were a little girl, you didn't understand all this. This all happened just like the girl that died. But you have a consciousness. Somehow you're surviving your mother, and you're suffering enough to bring you to a realization that you've never had before. And you see that so simple. It is so simple. God forgives you, and not because I said so, because it's true. I'm just bearing witness that He does forgive. And you just simply have to believe that it's not, everything is not important. It makes it unimportant. But you'll have flashes of insight of the things you've done, but you just look at it and you don't resent seeing it. See, if you ever see anything that comes to the surface after this, anything, just look at it and don't resent seeing it before you used to resent seeing it. And that's like resenting God. See that? See? So if you just feel the pain of seeing it, the pain, it's not you that's suffering, it's the dark self in you, the emphysemic self. See? It doesn't it traps you into a state of resentment. It traps you. It wants you to be angry. That's a person having an exorcism. That's a person, don't let it bother you. I'm not finished with. There's a person who's realizing something inside them.
God, excuse me.
It's all right. You see, but that's what's happening to a person who's listening and was caught unawares by what I was saying. But you're going to be all right now. All you have to do is learn to be patient with people. That's your forgiveness. Patient with your mother. So if she screams and yells and calls you some horrible name, if you want to attend to her occasionally, it's okay. And but you'll find that she'll try to intimidate you to hate you. If I suggest you stay away for a while until it's natural for you to want to go visit her, and so that you're prepared when she throws something mean at you, that you're ready for it and not be angry. Open your eyes now. Now.
Well, she makes me rely on her totally.
I know, but now you go get yourself a job. With your...
I live for her.
You can't
She
live.
controls me.
I know, you
and
can't. You got to get away from you.
Makes me take her to the doctor. Makes me go
No
to
more.
the store for stupid things.
No more. You either have to make up your
And
mind.
then if I don't do it, she gets angry.
Yeah, I know, and then you get angry and upset.
So I was saying in the audience,
Her upset.
I'm a people pleaser.
I know, but you want to be free.
Yes.
Then you have to be quietly in your mind to say, look, the first time a person stands up, the very first time you stand up to someone is your freedom. Mm-hmm. There is no freedom beyond that moment. If you fail to stand up, you'll be a victim your whole life. It's that test point, that flash point, and you've got to stand up in a right way, because if you stand up angrily and resentfully, it ties you to that person. You failed to deal with them properly. They've actually got to you. And when they've got to you, they own you. And then you resent them for your fault. Mm-hmm. You're resenting your mother for your fault. And you try to make up the fault by being kind, but then you're spoiling her.
Right.
See? It's just a reverse, but she's eating your substance.
But I don't know how to say it the right way. I don't know
You
how
don't
to
have to
do it
say
without resentment.
You don't have to say anything. You need to stay away from your mother for a while.
She'll get angry.
Well, let her die. But look at me. If she gets angry,
She'll lay a guilt. She'll try to
no,
lay
no,
a guilt.
no,
trip.
no, no. She can only lay a guilt trip if
I allow her to.
If you allow her to. Right. So what you need to do is understand you've got to break away from this lady. Mm-hmm. She's a wicked woman. Now, you've got to leave her alone. Let somebody else help her for a while. Can you do that?
Yes.
Will you do it?
Yeah, I have. I haven't.
But you still.
Stayed away from her.
But
for
you still.
a week and a half.
I know, but you're still tied. Yeah, but you're still tied to her with thought.
Yes.
You worry about her being angry and dying and being responsible.
Right. That's the kind of guilt she gives me.
But remember, you are trying to be the opposite of what your grandmother did to it. You see, you're trying to be opposite. Mm-hmm. You're trying to be caring, not uncaring.
Right.
See the thing? No, I don't want you to be the opposite or alike. You have to stand back and let her go. If she dies, you say, well, too bad. When my mother died, I don't know if I'm ashamed to say this. I love my mother. She was a good woman, but she was pathetic. She was shallow. Okay, but she was dutiful, like a dog, a mother dog to pups. But that's about it. There was no depth. Now, my father, I knew her a lot because I was around her a lot. My father died when I was 12. Mm-hmm. So, but she was an okay woman. She cooked, she made me that apple thing with, and she made sure I ate the right food, although it wasn't really the right food. But anyway, it was Jewish cooking, that's enough to kill anybody, you know. My whole family, I don't even know my uncles, I don't know my grandfather and all the relationships. They all died from diabetes and heart troubles and Jewish food. They died from Jewish food. See, basically, I'm just kidding. But when she died, she was lonely, and I was on the road with traveling on the road. I'm a diamond cutter by profession, and I was giving lectures, representing myself, but making a good living that way. And I go from store to store. So she comes over and on the Queen Mary, and because when she was away from her boys, she was lonely with her friends. Friends wasn't good enough. When she came over, she missed her friends. When she missed her friends, she went back home to England. When she was home, she missed the boys. And backwards and forward, it almost wore out the Queen Mary. So, but the point is, then I traveled with her. I let her, when she come over, she traveled with me, and we had a hotel, a motel, and she dropped dead in the hotel. I never felt anything. When my father died, I hardly knew him, but he had substance. When President Reagan died, I cried.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, my mother died, I didn't. Now, why is that? Because there's a kindred spirit in there.
In where?
In President Reagan.
Ah.
There was a kindred spirit. I didn't know him, but there was a kindred spirit. It shone.
I connected with him.
You connect with me. Am I a kindred spirit?
Yes.
Okay. And you listen to me. Not listen to your mother. Transfer to me. Just for a little while, till I free you. My job is to free you from your mother. That's what a father's job is, to free the children from their mother and to free them from him. See?
If he's a good father.
If he's a good father. But if he's a broken father, your mother... most men don't know how to deal with their wives. Don't you see that? That's why it's a sad thing. But this program, this discussion, makes it possible for us to say things and say it in such a way that men understand and women understand their powers, and not to push too hard, not to put the men on the pedestal and mother them. See what I mean?
Yes.
Because women tend to do that.
Yes.
Because when you love somebody and you make them dependent, you are government.
I've done that. Yeah.
You're a government. And you've got power. And once you get that power, you fall to it. And you're addicted to the power, so that you nurture a person's weakness and they become weaker for you, and you love them for their weakness because it empowers you. See? So this is what... So when I say, I love my wife, I love her as a man loves a woman. I love her as a man loves a daughter. But in the beginning it wasn't so. But in the end it has to be so. In the end, a man must love a woman as if she was the second daughter, the ultimate daughter. She has daughters by her and sons by her, but all of a sudden, she is a daughter, because that's what it was in the beginning. And every woman is longing for that kind of love, the fatherly love, and not always the sexual love until then you get buried in the same coffin, and you shuffle your bones together. You see, it's got to stop.
Can I say something?
Yes.
When I was married to my ex-husband, I saw the reasons why I was attracted to him was because he was so much like my mother.
Exactly so.
And the two of them got along really well.
You got married to your mother.
Yes.
You see...
And he was a beast.
You understand this?
He was a total beast.
You understand this? When you are influenced by the dark side of your mother, and you hate her, a woman is dying for a man that looks strong. But he may look strong, but he may not be. And it only be the strength you've given to him with the illusion of something that he buys into, and then all of a sudden you find yourself having to sustain it.
Right.
See? And all of a sudden it's a beast. But when a man is like that, he really is a mother. You know, basically you've actually, even though it's a different form, it's the same spirit. Cruelty. Men are not basically cruel. It's when men are cruel and vicious, and they're actually women, the spirit of the woman. Deceitful, like President Clinton. Deceitful, feminine. Deceitful woman.
Well, he had a lot of feminine, womanly qualities about him, even though he was a beast and a control freak.
Why do women like him? Why do women like him? Because
I'm not talking about Clinton. I'm talking about my ex-husband.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about Clinton. President Clinton. Why women like him so much?
I never liked Clinton.
I know, but women do like him because he's man made over in an image of woman. He's not threatening. He's just a pig.
Yes.
And women enjoy hating pigs. And they're like homosexuals because they're not men. They're not threatening.
I don't enjoy hating.
No, not you. We're talking of women, those kinds of women.
Oh.
See, there's certain kinds of women that really hate real men because they can't have their way with them. So when you're married to a woman that wants her way with you, you've got to have to learn to be the father. She may run away from you after that. She may run away from you very, very quickly. If you're a real man, and if you can become a real man, so I see you paying attention to me. You become a real man, and you're not married, are you? Divorced. So you have a women problem, by inheritance. And so you're lonely. You have children? None, no children. So you
inner child,
which
I parent.
So, are you recovering from your need for feminine love? Or you still think of it. You think of it drawn to. She's drawn towards it too. Like she's drawn towards it like a magnet, like a fly to the flame.
I seem to attract controlling women or women who want to control me.
Yeah.
And I don't let that get any further than it ought to.
But you're beginning to understand that.
Yes. So that's why I can relate to
so you
exactly
can't enjoy it. You're going to have to learn to kind of walk alone.
That's right. That's
you
correct.
have no children.
No children.
And there may be marriage in one day for you, but only to the degree that you can put a degree of separation between all the ladies that are, because they see your weakness. They're attracted to it. See? Because you're sending out a signal. Your need is sending out a signal. And also a woman who's going to be abused sends out a signal and draws all the wrong kind of guys. Because you often hear women say about she's looking for love in all the wrong places. She finds always abusive guys. See? She's looking for the love of a man, it's crying out for it. And what she ends up doing is mothering the beast.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why, but as it applies to you, you have to learn that sex is unnaturally natural. But food is unnaturally natural. And music can be unnaturally natural. And money can be unnaturally natural. It's only natural you should need money. But what's unnatural about it is what the sense of worth you derive from it. And what the sense of worth you derive from food. You're not supposed to feel, this is good. Heap it on my plate, honey. You can't do that. When you put food in your mouth and you're conscious of what you're doing with a cigarette, if you just do the same thing with food and sex, I don't know how to say it politely with that, but the point is, if you don't get too much pleasure from it, there's a certain pleasure of going to the toilet, of relieving your constipation. And it can feel good, but you don't want to be constipated all the time. For the sake of it. I got to make a point somehow. See? But the point is, animals don't get your cat just eats the food, and when he's had enough food, he walks away. Unless he lives in a house where he eats all the wrong foods from a can, and naturally he's going to eat more and more because there's no natural mice in there. It's all conglomeration of vegetables and junk, and naturally he's going to die from all human diseases. See that? But you leave an animal alone, he eats, and you never see a fat deer. You never see a fat dove, right? You never see a fat lobster or ring. They're all just right. They eat, and it's enough. Why is it you need music all the time in your ears, walking around like an idiot? If it was a rose, that you see a person walking down the street with a rose, then he puts a dandelion, and then he puts a petunia, and you look like he's crazy, sniffing all these different things. Music is like a person listening to music. Music's nice, could be nice. Mostly music is terrible. And the more terrible you are, the more discordant the music has to be. Mm-hmm. The louder it has to be. The more disgusting it has to be. The more disgusting the people that service you with that music have to be. So it shows you what a disgusting lot we have become. Because we don't appreciate the food we eat. And we don't. What did Paul say about everything? He says, he that strives for the mastery is temperate in all his ways. So you eat your food, like he sees some people eating the food. You see them, those sort of chubby little hands, shoving the food in their mouth like they're in a trance. Is that right? You've seen it, haven't you? Like an animal. And you have a group of fat people all around the table, enjoying each other and thinking that food is paradise. And they actually talk in terms of that. And who's that fellow who has that house, that magazine with all the sex girls and Hugh Hefner? Yeah, he seems to be so happy, he thinks he's in paradise. He really does. So he doesn't have to repent. He's already in paradise. See? He just has to slip from one state to another, and he's there. And some people are so angry. They're filled with judgment, and they feel so superior to others. And they live on a self-righteousness comes from a steady diet of judgment, or a steady diet of food and sex. But you know where the pleasure is? Just let me show you, if I can just make a break from you a minute. You know where the pleasure of eating, the pleasure of smoking, the pleasure of sex, the pleasure of music, it's always in the next experience. I learned something a long time ago. I was in a Japanese restaurant, and I never go there, but my friend invited me, and we having a lot of fun. And there was about 10 courses, and every course was the size of a pigeon dropping. So I don't think I got to swallow it. It went in my hollow tooth. But it was good food. And it took about an hour and a half to 2 hours to eat that meal. I was hungry at the end. It took 2 hours to have the meal. I was hungry again. So I called the maitre d'. I said, why is it that you had all these courses and there's pigeon droppings on that plate? I mean, why was it so small? Why do you divide it up like that? He says, in Japan, we have a saying that looking forward to something is better than having it. That's why they have the extended teas and all those little rituals. It is very gracious and beautiful to watch. And nothing wrong with it, because I could indulge in that, and it's very gracious. But the purpose of it, if you should so indulge it, is to look forward to the next thing, because looking forward is looking away from yourself. And you have to have things to look away. So it could be looking forward to the next bite. The bite you have tastes very good, but now it's made you worse. You've fallen for the pleasure. You've entangled your soul in the uprush of pleasure. And that's the point where you get drugged, where you get snagged, where you actually get worse at that point. But all of a sudden the hunger grows. And then the hunger is looking forward to the next bite, and to the next bite. And then you're looking forward to Alka-Seltzer. And the Alka-Seltzer gets better, you go back to looking forward to the next bite again. See? And so the cigarette's the same. The drug is the same. So therefore, because you're getting worse, in the illusion of getting better, is the illusion of getting better, you're not getting better. Right at that pinnacle where you're actually feeling ecstasy. And sex is also a drug. Everything can be a drug. See, it all depends upon how your consciousness mingles with the experience. Yes?
It's like a new reality.
It's renewed. It's renewed. You could buy new clothes. You could buy new clothes and have the same effect.
Done it my whole life. It's like, there's a new reality. This is a better reality. And then you keep moving into these false realities.
Yeah, you can change scenery.
Because the current moment is painful.
That's right. So are we getting somewhere today? Yeah. Now, how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling okay, but I just wanted to let you know of one more thing. In the past, some relationships where I was sexual with the person after knowing them for a number of weeks, I would end up crying and feeling, what's the word, convicted?
Guilty?
Guilty of that act.
Condemned.
Condemned, yes.
And do you condemn
yourself?
yourself?
Very guilty.
Did you condemn yourself?
Yes.
That's all.
I knew that I shouldn't have, and I did it, and I.
But then condemning yourself is like playing God to yourself. It's like when you struggle with yourself and you turn your anger inward on yourself because you can't turn it on anybody else. It's kind of like a false noble thing. Mm-hmm. It's not really noble.
Because I couldn't control the control. I couldn't control myself.
But you see, you've got to break away from.
I resented.
I understand that. What you have to need to do that, you have to walk away from your mother. You really do.
What about forgiveness?
No,
I have to forgive her.
No. You've missed something. God forgives you, and if He has, you won't feel resentful towards your mother anymore. And it's the resentment towards your mother, the inability to forgive your mother, which is to resent her. Mm-hmm. Resentment is unforgiveness. Okay. Resentment equals unforgiveness. So if you resent the cat, if you trip over the cat, it's the same quality of unforgiveness towards the cat. It's the same energy that keeps alive, that perverts every natural thought, feeling, every emotion that's normal and natural for you. It perverts it. Mm-hmm. It perverts it. Oh, you feel guilty towards the cat. Now you give it a saucer of milk because it walks between your legs and you trip it over it. And you say, that damn cat. All of a sudden you feel guilty. You give him a saucer of milk. But the cat now knows how to manipulate you. It gets between your legs. It also knows to sit in your lap and purr. I can't even make the noises. But the point is, so it knows intuitively that how to get food from you and how to get what it wants from you. See? And animals can do it. But humans can do it better. Because there's a malevolent spirit in humans that can develop this to a high degree of sophistication, like your mother. She's not a nice lady. Why don't you get it?
I do
She
get it.
She helped to kill your father. And here you are, catering to her. See that? And she's killing you.
Yeah. She would make me feel guilty and say, if
Nothing's-
you're not there for me and I'm sick, then you'll have to live with the fact that you killed me.
Yeah. See, but that matches something inside you about what you said about
Samantha.
That's right. See, and you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that. It's not going to be that way. You're going to have to leave her alone. You can, from a distance, you can make sure you can send her a buck or two to make sure she's okay. You can help her in some way, but stay away from her for a while. Stay away from her for months. And no, stay away from her for a year. And you can check with her, see how she's doing, and she'll curse you. She'll curse you.
She totally depends on me. I live 5 minutes from her.
I know. I think you need to live 500 miles from her. I think you need to walk away.
My son would never forgive me.
So now you're worried about what
My son is so wrapped up with his grandmother.
See? So you really see what you've done.
My son resents me.
See, it gets
complicated.
What you're doing is sacrificing your son to her.
Yes.
But, when I walked away from my dad stopped eating and sleeping for a year and went in a mental institution. You know what? It's worth it. Mm-hmm. You know what? It's worth it.
She's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's where she needs to be.
It may be that dramatic and it may be that horrible.
You're dealing with some evil.
It's worth it.
What she is, she's dealing with an evil.
It
could be a man or a woman.
It's worth
You got a
it.
man here. See?
Your world will shatter, but it's worth it.
Because my son loves my mother more than he loves me.
Oh,
he'll hold that
and
against
now,
me.
that's why you want to compete with his love. You were competing. You and you're competing for your son's love from his grandmother.
Yes.
See, you've got to stop this now because the next generation is finished. You've got to have some love for your son. He may hate you at first and bless you in the end.
He'll hate me for leaving my
But
mother.
never mind. And if he doesn't, how old is your son?
He's 35.
Good. Leave him alone. Let him die too. I'm sorry. But you can say, sorry, I've made a mistake. Mm-hmm. I'm moving away. If you want to take care of her, good luck.
Okay.
When you're ready, I'll show you there's a guy that knows how to fix you. You may have to look and dig up the daisies or something to find me. But the point is,
you're right.
You've got to walk away. And if you know that you should walk away and you don't, look, an example of that is the Jewish people in Germany. Some left a long time ago, they saw it coming. The other was too tied to their cars, their Mercedes, their shops and things like that. And they would say to themselves, it will pass. I'm telling you the times are coming when we may have to leave. I may have to leave. See, I'm not saying I will, because I'll just be there's only a few of us left. The rest of you are going to be zombies. See, that's right. So I'm sorry. This is because of the media, you can turn people into zombies. Yeah. You saw that example in the convention the other day. See, you can, and the people watching were overwhelmed. Even some of the conservative reporters are overwhelmed by the emotion of it. You must not be overwhelmed by emotion. You must not be overwhelmed because emotion traps you into being a slave, and gives you the illusion that when you're rewarded for your service, or they reward you and make you a special person. Your mother may make you a special person, and the brother not so, because he's not overwhelmed by emotion or trapped. But he's also trapped by the fact that he's resenting his brother or sister because mother paid more attention to him and gives him all the benefits while being weak and subservient. And you can't understand it. You're better off without that love. See, you're really better off without it. Lucky your mother doesn't love you. Let him have the love, because that love will kill him. And he'll be tied to her for that love for the rest of his life, and she'll take him for everything she's got. And he'll die.
Oh, I see the stress in him already because of my mother.
But you are not. But you are unkind.
Very angry.
No, but you are also unkind. You are unkind because you're sacrificing your own son to this woman. You are not.
Well, she raised him until he was 12.
I don't care.
I was 16 when I had him.
But there's no excuse. She's killing him. She's killing you.
I know she is.
Well, then you know she is. But you stay there.
I don't know what to do for my son.
You need to set an example for your son.
Because he protects her.
I know. You need to set an example for your son and walk away.
Okay.
And let him hate you.
Okay.
And then he may love you. Mm-hmm. It might work differently. Right. See, when I correct my children and I do the things I have to do, sometimes they resent me when they were small. And they'd walk out and bang the door. Because I was challenging the wrong in them. See? And I'd wait. Because I challenged them in a right way, they thought better of it, and I just had to wait for a little bit. The door would open and say, "Sorry, Dad." And when a little child screams to have its own way, and you know it's just ego, he wants his own way. You see them in the grocery store crying for something, a mother gives them this and that, and when they get it, they're not happy with it, want something else, and drive the mother crazy, right? So when a child needs correction, when he's unreasonable, I want this, I want that. If you stand your ground and be very patient with them, that's called love. And if he can't break you, he tries harder to break you. You see? Same with a woman or a man. Whoever you have to deal with, if you stand your ground, which is not difficult to do if you have an endless strength, endless endurance, patient endurance. If you do that, then the child will wear himself out or herself out on banging against you, and not receiving a reassurance or reinforcement and encouragement for that behavior, suddenly gets worn out from his ego energy, and then comes to his senses. Because you're not fueling it. You're fueling your mother's madness. You're actually killing your mother as well as dying yourself to her. You're both dying and changing places. When she's dead, long live the king, you're alive. And your son will be your son will be catering to you instead. And you'll be sucking on his life.
I'm going to take your advice because your advice is right. I need to detach.
And then your emphysema will go away. Guaranteed.
I'm sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Take this away.
Thank you.
Take your cigarette.
We forgot about the cigarette, didn't we? Forgot about the cigarette, didn't we? But the cigarette's not important here. The cigarette is not important. Any of you sensing anything? We're going to have another session this afternoon. I just want to see if someone else will speak up. Speaking up is very important here.
It's so deep. I've been very, very touched by both Cheryl and this gal. Oh, when I came in here today, all of a sudden, I was very emotional, but somehow when you said you're forgiven,
You like the idea that you're forgiven.
I loved it.
But it's true.
I know.
You know why you can enjoy it? Because I'm real.
I know.
If I was not real, you couldn't believe it. And if you believed it from an unreal person, it doesn't work. Because it's unreally spoken. It's from a human. Human beings can't forgive you. I can only be a messenger. See the difference?
You know what? The lie tells us that we have to do something to get the forgiveness.
You don't have to do
it.
The Bible says otherwise. You cannot do it by works.
When you said that God forgives you, I was like, wait a minute.
Too easy. It's too easy.
But I told you it was easy. But you will do something afterwards. You'll be able to do His will.
But I think the real crux for me was I really believed it. I really deeply believed it. And wherever that came from, it was like way buried deep.
You didn't know you had faith, did you? It just needed awakening, didn't it?
Yes.
It just needed awakening by a word because you're so full of lies. The world is so full of lies and deceit. Jesus loves you. I mean, He does, and all the rest of it. But the point is, it's coming from all these hypocrites who are walking around with their head in the sky thinking they have what they haven't.
And the other thing is I have the mother connection, so I was tracking with that.
Good. You feel better now?
I feel like I lost 20 pounds.
That's does my heart good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Anybody else had any experience here? Who was the one that had who cried out loud? I actually forgot who that was.
That was me yelling.
That you yelling?
That was.
Forgive me, I had ignored that. But
I was glad you did because I just got a chance to just have it gel. I mean, it was okay.
You walk out of here?
I'm fine.
You actually don't.
I can leave
you don't
now.
need the rest of the seminar, do you?
I feel that way, but I'm going to stay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You'll enjoy the company.
Oh,
enjoy
very
talking
much.
with people.
Thank you.
Now, the person next to you, you look like you're sort of worn to a frazzle. How old are you?
77.
Oh my God, what's happening to you?
Pardon?
What's happening to you? You look like you're sort of half alive.
Like I'm only half alive?
Yeah. I'm 80.
I know.
Want to fight?
Not if I were half your age.
No, what's happening to you? You're shriveling up. You're not speaking up?
I think that's one of the clues is that I'm one of those persons who does not speak up.
You're going to plump out when you leave here. It's not the food. It's the life. Remember what I said. You've got to speak up. No matter, look, I'm not saying you've got to speak up just every time. You got a problem. You got a problem. No, I don't want that to be a robot. You don't want that. No, but there's a time when there's an injustice or something improper happening, or a lady is beating up her kid in the grocery store. Says, excuse me, but I'm an authority. Well, I'm going to call the police if you don't. See, I've done that before.
Well, I have at times, but that's one of the things that brought me here. Another is, one of them is pretty well answered in the meditation. I've gotten some answers about my meditation.
Are you married?
No, never been.
Never been.
In my early years, I was
so emaciated.
I have lost 20 pounds this year. I'm not quite sure why. I have a physical problem. That's one of the things that brought me here.
What's the physical problem?
I have a tumor.
Ah, well now. All right, now where is the tumor?
Breast.
Breast.
And
the doctor taking care of that for you?
I haven't seen a doctor in 40 years.
Well, it might be a good idea.
Well, I think that's where I'm coming to.
I don't know if they'll be able to help you a lot, because you seem to be managing it all right. But maybe what we need to look at you is why you're not married, right? You said you were married. Were you married one time?
No. I think during the years when most people are doing that sort of thing, courting, and I was too frightened of it because my parents did not have a good marriage.
You see.
And I saw that there were games being played, and I wasn't going to play them. And the other factor is that I've never felt the need.
Yes, but maybe in an unhealthy sense, a sort of fear keeps you from it.
Fear, certainly in the early
fear
years.
Of becoming either...
And fear of men.
Yes.
My father was a very nice man, but he was weak.
But nice doesn't do it, does it?
And I identified much more with him than with my mother. And I think until probably the last 10 years, I blamed her totally for all of the stuff that went wrong.
So, have you become like your mother in some way? Is that you?
I don't think so, though there's some of her in me. Certainly.
I tell you what. You're a very soft-spoken lady, excuse me. We need to have you in the front row. When we come back from lunch, I think we'll break now, or very soon. I know it's pardon? What?
And do you expect me to eat?
Yeah, I do expect you to eat. And I'll just put you aside for a minute because I think you have you have cancer, basically, don't you?
Well, I don't know. It could be a
has it grown?
Non-malignant tumor.
But you need to check it out.
Yeah. But that's one of the reasons I came. Is that's reaching a point where where I have to check it out.
I think it's wise. I think it's wise to know what you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if it is cancer, there could be psychosomatic or psychopathological connection, because there's something up here that affects you everywhere, like emphysema. The emphysema is simply where is she? There you are. See, it's very similar to and worse than asthma. But if a child is brought up with an overshadowing mother, asthma is usually a mother-caused disease, as schizophrenia is always. See, it's mostly schizophrenic boys. There are some girls, especially when they're treated like boys. And mothers change them into boys because they resent. There's two women in one home. She's jealous of the beauty. She wants a man to love her, and there's only one girl. And she treats her like a boy. She wants her to be a man. See, she doesn't like the competition of another woman more beautiful than herself. There's all kinds of reasons. But emphasis...
Yeah, Samantha, my niece, she was born with asthma, and she had it her whole... until she died.
Well, she's actually not born without asthma, but it's overshadowing mother. An overshadowing mother. An overshadowing mother who sucks the life out of the children. And leukemia is another kind of disease. I have learned that there are certain typecast people that I can tell what you're going to die from. And the very first thing I ever learned about, my mother had a friend who, her name was Mina, and her son was my friend, Ronnie. He died. He was 1 year older than me. But they were friends from the First World War. And there was something about her. She was my first hypnotic subject. I was only 15. But she was a piece of cake. She had a headache. I said, I'll take that away. And she went like that. She gave herself to me. And I said, how's your headache? She said, It's gone. Wow. But she died from leukemia. I connected the two. I saw what a weak, feeble human being this was, always giving her life force to everyone, always pleasing to the point of giving up energy without any resistance. At least you're going to offer a little bit of resistance. You know that something's wrong. You're here. For this one actually thought it was love to give her whole life to others. Like you give your life to God, except He gives you, if you give your life to Him, He gives you life. You're only giving up the old life. That's all you're giving up. The old ways. He gives you the new. Like new lamps for old, all right? So, but I saw in that woman, I just picked up on it, so I could actually tell a person who looks like that and behaves that way, they'll die from leukemia. Now, that's true of little children. Little children die from leukemia because there's a mother in that home, usually a mother, who sucks on that child. And you can't tell it because she's loving, she's caring, she's the most caring, loving person in the world. You think, wow, you know, but she sucks. And the kid can't say anything. Now, I know it's going to disturb a lot of people out there. I'm in the business of disturbing. Either I'm right or I'm wrong. But, you know, you can do what you like with it. You can be angry with me and reject everything I say. That's fine. Go die. But I tell you, people die from certain diseases. It all depends upon... There's only one cure, there's only one illness. There's only one real illness, is being disconnected from your childhood innocence and starting to doubt yourself. And that usually comes from emotions, because you are born into a world of dysfunctional... The word dysfunctional is a very bad word, because my car can dysfunction. My Jaguar, 10 years old. It looks like a new one. Don't think I'm rich. I hate that people think they're rich. It's a nice new car. It looks new, but it isn't new. It's 10 years old. I got it with 33,000 miles. I just want to make sure you don't think I'm spending your money unnecessarily, so I want to remove judgment. By the way, this is 40 years old. Someone gave it to me. My pants, somebody gave it to me, and my shirt's new.
Roy, have you ever had schizophrenia?
Yeah, my son gave me the shoes. Let me make the point. The point is, there is one disease. It's called disease. It's the friction between being fallen from your innocence. If you look at little children and look at go to schools, and you look at all the different classrooms, the brightest one are the littlest. And every class that goes up, they get duller and duller and duller and duller. All the innocent fades, right? Anyway, so let me see. Oh yes, one illness. You see how much better you feel now, because that innocence has been restored. You always.
I also want to say something else, because last year I had cancer. But what's interesting about it is, it was like it was unbeknownst to me. He allowed me to get sick, have cancer, and it was fine. It was like, boom, you don't feel good. The next minute you're in the operating room, and the next minute you're home, and I'm fine. What I want to say is...
Your cancer won't come back now. It can't.
No, I don't think...
No, it won't come back.
But what I want to say is, it has something to do... I'm not getting it now, but I think I will get it.
It has something to do with faith.
A lot to do with faith.
I went through the whole medical matrix, and everything went wrong.
But see, I was always an emotional, angry child, and I was a heavy child, and I ate, and I would eat sweets, and I would to survive.
There you go.
Just to survive it all. And then one day I just said, you know, God, I want to be normal. I want to have a normal appetite. Even though I wasn't 300 pounds, I didn't do food right. It was like that little extra that you get.
Yes, I was talking.
And so I went through all this, and then all of a sudden, I'm at a normal weight, and boom, I'm like, I got this pain. But what's interesting is it was easy. I think it's because I was on the journey, and he allowed it to be. It's like
I was on the journey too, and I got poisoned swimming in the ocean with a protozoa, amoebic infection, which nobody ever was able to treat. Nobody knew what it was, and it went from diabetes, it went from kidneys, it went to heart operation. But I went through all of it, and all that failed. My heart operation failed, but I grew new capillaries, and then recently I had an accident. Then I had heart failure from the accident, and then the doctor says, well, here's potassium, here's diuretic. We can't do anything for you. I'm 80 years old. Yeah, within a week, my feet stopped swelling, and I'm back swimming again, and I'm back to normal. See, and because I don't care, it doesn't seem, I'm not worried about it.
I want to add something.
And it fixes me.
I want to add about the emotion, because, see, I was always an extremely emotional person. But when this happened to me, there was no emotion there. It was just like, this is the business of the day, this is what you have to do, and I did it, and I went home, and I've been fine ever since.
Well, it's perfect. You've been meditating a little bit, haven't you?
I have.
Well, there you are.
Thank you very much.
Alex, I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
You know, people like you and people like yourself.
It's been a long time, too. I'm not new to this game.
No, I understand. Okay. But look, today was the...
It was, I needed to come.
Something, just a little...
But, you know, I have been listening to you lately, and one of you say you asked people why they came. For me, you have been crystal clear. There's something, and I'm like, I gotta go.
Okay, we have to break. There's a little emergency somewhere. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know it was an emergency. I thought you were calling me for dinner.